Most likely, the word flop comes to mind when you think of Waterworld, the dystopian action film starring Kevin Costner that celebrates its 30th anniversary this summer. Few movies in Hollywood history convey the stench of failure, as well as the one in which Wyatt Earp was given gills behind his ears. Since its egotistical star went wildly over budget in an attempt to create a realistic world of water, Waterworld may be one of the most infamous film industry disasters, at least according to legend. However, it failed at the box office and became the new standard for industry failure. It was referred to by critics as Kevin's Gate and Fishtar, referencing two other iconic failures from the prime of New Hollywood. The movie is still regarded as a warning to never allow lunacy to win out when faced with a blank check. However, the real story of Waterworld is not fully conveyed by all of that lore. Costner was one of the world's top stars by the early 1990s. JFK was a critical favorite. Costner won numerous Oscars for his directing debut, Dances with Wolves, and Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, demonstrated his box office brilliance despite speaking in a Californian accent in medieval Nottingham. By 1995, he was free to do as he pleased, but instead he signed on to a jet ski-based Mad Max parody. The celebrity revised the script multiple times before joining the cast as both star and producer with his frequent partner Kevin Reynolds, who directed Costner in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, and Fandango. Costner took the brunt of the blame as the shoot turned into an extended nightmare of health and safety infractions and an ever-increasing budget. Many industry insiders made jokes that Costner was the true Kevin in control of Waterworld's production. After spending 157 days on the set, Costner nearly perished after becoming trapped to the mast of his character's sinking boat. Due to bad weather and the camera team being forced out of position by the currents, the filming was conducted in a sizable artificial seawater enclosure. A magnificent floating set went down. Joss Whedon claimed that the majority of his 7 weeks of script rewriting included following Costner's instructions. Reynolds eventually left the movie and would not get back together with Costner for many years. At the beginning, Universal Pictures had a $100 million approved budget for the film. Waterworld was the most expensive movie ever made at the time of its completion, with an estimated final cost of $175 million. Reviews weren't as negative as you may have thought for a production with such a bad reputation. Despite its obvious status as a wannabe Mad Max, it was a hit with Roger Ebert and Entertainment Weekly. However, the negative publicity around it overshadowed everything, making the truth a footnote. You might be surprised to hear that Waterworld wasn't a complete failure. With a global box office receipt of $264.2 million, it was the 9th highest-grossing film of 1995, albeit its extravagant budget meant it continued to lose money in theaters. On the other hand, the movie did eventually turn a profit thanks to its VHS and Laserdisc editions. The 4 Waterworld-themed attractions at Universal Studios theme parks worldwide have also contributed to the film's unexpected cultural impact. Hollywood continues to show the stunt spectacular to enthusiastic audiences every day, which isn't bad for a movie that, according to reports, no one saw or enjoyed. However, what about the movie itself? Is Waterworld really so awful? Well, no. Although it isn't exactly a hidden gem, it is an extremely enjoyable science fiction action film with many realistic sets and truly amazing stunts. A film like this would never be made in 2025, at least not with the kind of physical presence captured in a tank, as opposed to the extensive use of computer-generated imagery that is currently used. See even George Miller's most recent wasteland epic, Furiosa. Waterworld's sincerity and dedication to good triumphing over evil, represented here by a never-hammier Dennis Hopper, have an intriguingly antiquated quality. Additionally, it openly supports the environment, which seems a little radical at a time when any film that even remotely hints at politics is being appropriated for the so-called cultural wars. This movie explores the extent to which climate change will ruin humanity. The tone of the movie is its main flaw. In ways it doesn't seem to realize, it is frequently great, but mostly foolish. The hero, portrayed by Costner, is a half-fish and a stoic seafarer. He even makes a dolphin-like leap through the air at one point. Waterworld makes a lot of effort to make steampunk-style villains on Kawasaki jet skis seem menacing, but they aren't. The Mad Max series succeeds because George Miller knows how to strike a balance between the sinister and the comic. While Waterworld is complicated and ends up with an oddly jumbled narrative that no one requested, Mad Max films are astute enough to eliminate any plot complexity in favor of aiming for the mythic. However, despite its frequent designation as the worst film ever made, this is neither a humiliating megaflop that permanently tarnished Hollywood. If you long for the days when not every blockbuster was filmed on a green screen or as part of a franchise with over 25 films, Waterworld has a lot to offer. Although Costner's career is filled with intriguing aspirations and foolish moves that didn't always work out, Waterworld has more to be proud of than embarrassed about. In regards to his time at sea, perhaps history will finally catch up with him.